That was really a productive segment, wasn't it?
And I hit the wrong button. Here we go, though. Let me see if I can get this right here. Welcome, everyone, to the show. And I keep on hitting the wrong button. I'm an idiot sometimes. All right, here it goes.
From the Black Swan Media Studios, deep inside a secret underground bunker, we're speaking to freedom-loving patriots from all around the country and the world. Welcome to the Resistance. This is John Crump, live.
And we are live on John Crump Live. My name is John Crump, and this is my show. We are brought to you by the wonderful people at Tusk. Tusk is a cryptocurrency focused on the firearms market. Check them out at TUSC.network.
Proudly sponsored by TUSC, the only cryptocurrency designed with the firearms market in mind, with 3-second processing times. It's the fastest cryptocurrency on the planet. With lower transaction fees than traditional credit cards. It's perfect for your e-commerce needs. For gun guys, by gun guys. Visit TUSC.network for more information and join the digital revolution.
And we are also sponsored by Black Swan Tactical. Black Swan Tactical has a sale going on right now where you can get patches that are usually for $10. They are for $8, and that is shipped. Go to blackswantactical.com. Plus, I own it.
Black Swan Tactical, your #1 source for 2A streetwear. With shirts, mugs, hats, patches, flags, and more. There's always something to help you rep the 2A community. All proceeds go back into our projects. Viewers and listeners can take an additional 10% off with code CRUMPY. Unapologetically pro-gun, pro-liberty, and pro-freedom gear for the front lines of the culture war.
And you can support me by going to johncrump.local.com, and you can go to flyingrich.local.com. How are you doing, Flying Rich?
Flyingly. And you didn't use my proper pronoun. I think that constitutes harassment.
All right. Well, we have a very, very special guest today. We're going to be talking about the GCA of 1968. This was your idea.
My idea?
Yeah, you said you want to have a lawyer on to talk about the GCA of 1968, the Gun Control Act.
I said that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
And we have Matt here.
What's up, losers?
What is up, Matt? How are you doing?
How's it going?
Matt is from Fudd Busters. If you don't know, he's kind of a big deal on YouTube here.
Yeah, I'm a D-lister.
D-lister. I'm like a Z-lister.
Delisted?
So.
If he's a D-lister, I'm bored.
I got a few delisted videos. I got one or two.
Yeah.
No, thanks for having me, man. It's always good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. We've talked in the past, but we've been on podcasts together in the past, the Hanks and stuff like that, but not on this one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, we've been on a few together actually.
Yeah.
On like FRN and stuff.
Yeah, usually Usually I have Rich with me on every podcast I go on. I'll be on Cam and Company on Wednesday at 11 a.m. just for anyone out there.
Oh, cool. That was my first ever media appearance in my career.
Cam and Company?
Cam Edwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back when he was on NRA TV.
No, I gotcha.
Still called Cam and Company.
I gotcha. All right. Now, let's get to the GCA of 1968 because Rich wanted to talk about the GCA of 1968.
Yeah. So in 1968, they knew they were going to be polymer 80s and they made them illegal?
Yeah, it was actually written down specifically.
Because I'm trying.
Yeah, Congress had said, look, we just discovered this aluminum stuff. It's spooky. I'm scared of it. They're making Chevy Corvairs out of them. They're making stuff light. It's going to be a problem. And I can see that new AR-15 that just came out, that's made of it. So we got to ban it all. And also they knew about 3D printers. That's why it was written. If you actually look at the first subsection of the GCA of 1968, it says that you're not allowed to do that. It says any type of gun that has would have holes and doesn't have holes or could possibly made out of a template, possibly be made from a broom or something else is presumptively unlawful. And this has been settled law for decades. I really don't understand why we're making a big deal out of it now. We've been getting away with it.
Yeah, it's just like they banned bump stocks back in the 60s too.
Yeah, they did.
And the 30s, so this refining, redefinition, or just increasing our understanding of the frame and receiver that's on the 120-day countdown, that's just kind of like an exclamation point that really has no bearing because all this crap was illegal.
Okay. John, can you kill my video for a second?
Yes, I can. You want me to
touch it on camera? I'm going to put something on the wall.
All right. Hold on. I will just remove you for a second because for some reason
I'll just do this.
Kill you. There you go. All right. That is Matt. I think he had to go to the bathroom really quick.
Nope.
No, he would have played Paradise by the Dashboard Lights if he had to go to the bathroom.
Well, I know we're not supposed to handle funds.
I figured that.
So a lot of people aren't aware of this, but in the context of the GCA, this is, do you know what this is?
It's Thompson submachine gun.
No. John?
The 3D printed?
No. That is the Spitfire carbine, the Spitfire semi-automatic carbine. That is the first gun that the ATF did flip-floppery on and declared that it was a machine gun. And that one, and it says on the side, Spitfire semi-automatic carbine. This one, after that happened, the owner registered it, and now it's a transferable machine gun. But this is immediate post GCA, right? Which didn't have a direct impact on the registrability and a direct impact on the importability. But immediately post GCA, this is the ATF's first case of flip flopping.
So was it readily convertible? Was that the
readily convertible isn't in the law. The question is whether it was designed to shoot automatically. And so what would happen is allegedly, this gun would and it actually shoots fantastic semi-auto. But if you diddled the safety while pulling the trigger, apparently it would just rip through a mag. But the problem is nobody's tested it because all of the ones that are still around were registered as machine guns. And those people were like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and convert it to an actual machine gun. But so I have been building up, getting the original parts back for this thing so I could test the old theory, because I have a suspicion that, I'm wondering if their total BS stuff goes all the way back then, whether it that didn't actually work that way.
Yeah, open bolts are not specifically banned. That's what I want to say before I ask my next question. Was that an open bolt?
Yeah, it is an open bolt gun. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people think if it's open bolt, it's automatically banned, but that's not anywhere in there.
Yep. And I've got another gun that looks just like it, the Fox carbine, and that is still semi-automatic. That you can buy them on Gunbroker. You can buy them no problem. I've got open bolt Max. I usually have an open bolt Mac 11 that's up there. It's semi-automatic. It's not illegal. It's whether or not the weapon was designed to shoot automatically.
Yeah. Why do you think that so many people think open bolts are illegal or automatically machine guns? What's that?
Because they read ARFCOM. And people on ARFCOM tell lies.
Yeah. I thought they knew everything.
I get in so many arguments with people saying, no, there's nothing about open bolts being automatically machine guns.
Right.
I don't
It
go
all
on the
has to do
internet,
with the
so I don't
design.
have arguments.
Well, your blood pressure must be dangerously low.
I know. I know.
Is that true?
So here's my question. How can the ATF flip-flop so much on different things?
Well, and here's the funny thing is this wasn't always the case, right? There was a long period of time where it was, and look, ATF has always been illegitimate. It was always, its legitimacy was always questioned. And so what wound up happening is when these laws were originally in the purview of the IRS, no one wanted to enforce them. And so they wound up like having to move people around constantly. And it got so bad to where they had to create a new agency just to enforce these laws that IRS agents were saying these are unconstitutional. We don't want to enforce them. So who do you think is going to wind up, creating the bottom up culture in those organizations? It's the like junior varsity players, right? That like, they're like, well, this guy will do it, put him there. And then on top of that, not all of it is ATF's fault directly. In fact, most of it is not. It's that ATF has morphed, especially in the past 30 years, into a tool of the presidencies, virtually all of them, to accomplish policy goals or like do something whenever there's public pressure to do so, because the courts have long exercised an inappropriate level of restraint in weighing in on Second Amendment cases. And on top of that, when you have no case law that's developed, they just get away with it, right? It's like it's an area with no law or for a long time no law was developed, and so eventually they get this narcotic effect where it's like, oh well, let's just have the ATF do it. And I mean, all the way back from Bush, from Reagan, Bush Senior, right? They were the pioneers in using the ATF as a tool of political do something, and it's been going on ever since.
That is likewise with the IRS, and they've always been tools of the president to get back at people.
Yeah.
Right. And whereas the IRS is like often used almost in lieu of a bill of attainder, right? Like to directly get individuals. ATF is a like independent legislative arm of the executive branch, which I don't know how many of you still had civics class when you were abused in school, but they tell you it's not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that the ATF is abusing Chevron deference? I think I know what your answer is going to be, but let me ask you.
They haven't been saying it,
But
that's the thing. It's like,
yeah.
Well, yes. The answer is yes. Chevron deference is what allows them to. I keep saying them, and this is a funny point of grammatical correctness, guys. ATF is a singular entity. It is it. And it's also fun to say because it's like more dehumanizing. So no, it is that ATF would not be able to do the things that it is doing if it couldn't lean on Chevron by just asserting, oh, well, this is ambiguous. Like, in the framer receiver thing, which is what I'm sure we're going to talk about today. They just say this definition is vague and ambiguous, and it's not. It's been, working fairly fine for all this time. And how do they handle the vague and ambiguous definition? With a 430 something. Yeah. By adding multiple
364
terms.
pages, right?
Yeah. And they and that's the whole draft with like responses to comments and stuff like that. That they've added terms, cross-reference to terms to one another, and there's no definite results whatsoever. That's not that's an abuse of the Administrative Procedures Act.
You seem kind of heated. Yeah,
I mean, it's upsetting because it's so clear. The law is so clear. The Administrative Procedures Act, which is what sets up these practices, says that it can clarify the law. And then it goes and says, oh, the law's vague. Right. And then there's no reaction. There's no public outrage. And meanwhile, and guys, you have to remember this. They're destroying people's lives. They're destroying people's businesses. They're locking people in cages. And it's not what's on the news, you know?
No, it seems like for some reason it won't let me go back. So you're on the screen by yourself. There it goes. I don't know what was going on there. But it seems like they are like one of the most out of control agencies in the federal government. I mean, other agencies are out of control, but the ATF is like a hold my beer type agency.
It's a fascinating, and I've talked with some, I've got some friends that were ATF, triple coconut macaroon, double dog, secret squirrels, whatever they are. And I've talked to them, and a lot of them are all right guys that they've explained, like, there's this culture that exists at ATF where they like perceive themselves, right? I'm talking about the agents. They perceive themselves as these like great guardians and that everyone's trying to get them. And so when they see stuff like, whatever it is, and they perceive it as a spit in their eye, they get violent. And it's like, and one, who cares, right? And two, like, who's actually being hurt by the stuff that ATF is targeting? It's not, they claim, oh well, ghost guns, these buy-build shoot kits or whatever are used in all these crimes. Look, see, we found all these crimes. And then you go and you look at the data. And you know what the most common crime that these guns are found in?
Okay, G-Webs has question.
I'm gonna take a guess. Illegally manufacturing a gun?
Unlawful possession. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the existence of the gun is the crime.
Yeah, exactly. It's creating the crime.
Whether it is or is not at that time period. Because we saw a video and they're showing, ghost guns and the holes weren't drilled. And I'm like,
right.
Yeah.
That's like a plastic.
This one thing that they were doing, when NBC did their thing, they showed like a ghost gun sitting out in a crime scene. And if you look at the ghost gun, it wasn't done.
Yeah.
They stuck it on the ground. It's like, come on.
It's like, place that right here.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's like there's no holes drilled. G-Webs has a question though.
What's popping?
This is a rule change. So what is the potential options of undoing the rule change with the new Congress, president, action, whatever?
So
it's called cojones.
You're right. And also G-Webs, you're right. Any of those could do it. But I'll tell you something. A lot of the times when there's what we call a friendly cabinet or a friendly executive, they either don't know or they don't care. And I'll tell you guys something. A few years ago, I had a meeting with Trump's chief legislative aide, right? And he was asking me, what can we do to help regain the trust of the gun owners? And I was like, okay. And I explained to him the sporting purposes test, right? That stems from the GCA, actually, tangentially.
You want to tell people what the sporting purposes test is?
Right. Sorry, I'm a massive nerd and you can't control myself. So for
the invisible ink of the Second Amendment says
for
sporting purposes only.
Yeah, for a firearm to be importable, it has to be readily or particularly suited for or readily adapted to sporting purposes. And this was a part of the GCA, and everyone just kind of like ignored it for many years. And it was just like, whatever. And we would import military surplus, like, K98s, Gewehr 43s, 4956s, FALs, all that. No big deal. AKs. Then suddenly, the late 80s, there was a shooting in California, and they were like, "Oh, we got to do something. We got to do something." And so the president was a Republican. Got ATF together and said, just figure out how to stop these things from coming in. And so what they decided to do was say, okay, so let's get a bunch of executives from the gun industry together, from the American gun industry, and they'll decide what is a sporting purpose weapon. And they effectively came up with an assault weapon ban. And so like that's why like, you know, you've seen the AKs that come in and they look a bit stunted. That's why that is. And so I told this guy, I said, hey, with the stroke of his pen, your boss could delete this. We could get these great guns from Poland. We could drop the price of AKs in half. Like, do this. That will get you the trust. And he was like, oh my God. And he's writing it down. 2 weeks later, the Trump administration adds another manufacturer of AKs to the prohibited entities list to bring in. So it's like, you know, they won't do it. Like you were saying, they don't have the cojones to do it.
Damn.
Yeah, they don't. The whole sporting purposes thing is kind of scary. I was listening to David Chipman talk, and he was talking about AR-15s. It's like AR-15s don't have a sporting purpose. I was like, AR-15s are also imported, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Like, thank you so much, Chipman, for keeping us from Volk Quartz and like Brugger and Tomet AR-15s. Like,
damn them foreign companies.
I know it was kind of crazy. It's like, does he even know what the GCA says?
But we all know deer don't wear Kevlar vests, right?
Oh, and the cannons are illegal.
I don't know about you guys.
He said it twice, so they're doubly illegal. I gotta let Mr. Snow. Did you actually do the BS? Is that what you just did?
No, I sneezed.
No, he actually sneezed.
Yeah.
No.
You could have said yes and looked cool, but
I regret not doing
it. All right, here you go. We got another question from G-Webs. G-Webs is the question guy. So go ahead, Rich.
I can't read. Question for Crump and Fudd. Being investigators and researchers, have you heard of or looked into the relationship between 1990s Chinese import ban and some politicians owning major importers?
I have not. Have you? I take that as a no.
I mean, I'm sure. Listen, you guys all know that my belief on politicians, they are lizards. I'm sure there was some lizard behavior going on. I'm sure there was some kind of something, but I actually don't like really know or care what was going on there. I just know it was evil.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can agree, right? Politicians are lizards.
Yeah, they're lizard people. If you look, I saw some videos.
Lizards in skin suits,
and they were blink. I worked with a guy one time that believed in lizard people, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, not all of them are lizards. Some of them are actually corpses full of spiders, and you know the spiders are just animating the brainstem, and it's primarily, you know, it's like a hive mind, right? It's like every single one of those politicians. Like people always say, if you put enough monkeys in, you'll get Shakespeare. Well, 10, 15,000 spiders, and you're going to get some weird laws. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you know, sometimes I look at Biden and I'm like, dude, this is like Weekend at Bernie's Part 2 of the White House.
No, Biden is definitely about 20 to 30,000 small spiders.
Oh, okay.
And they have to change them out frequently. That's why it's getting weird, because they haven't changed them in like at least 6 to 8 business years, and it's becoming a problem.
Yeah. What do you think is the cause of the push to ban unfinished frames and receivers?
Well, the lack of spider changes, that they're getting too complacent.
Okay. What do you really think?
What do you
No, don't ask that.
So what is okay? It's actually very clear to me. We know what this all started from, and it came from the Polymer 80 buy, build, shoot kit. Polymer 80s are not particularly often found in crime, especially relative to their popularity. However, they are popular. And the fact that they are popular means that attention was paid to them. And like ATF felt that, this buy, build, shoot kit, which, for those of you guys watching, the buy, build, shoot kit is an unfinished frame or receiver in the box with a recoil spring, a barrel, and a slide, and everything you need to just put it together. Hence, buy, build, shoot.
So basically everything other than the drill press.
Right, or hand drill in the case of a
Yeah.
Palmer 80. But they decided that, and they took such a sneaky route to get to it, and it's actually like the most clown shoes like interpretation of the law I've seen in a long time, to say no, this isn't a handgun or a rifle, but it's a firearm, because look, if you see the word weapon here and you cross-reference it here and you drag this section over, right, like they're doing it that's a very long way around to answer the question, which is they are doing it because these kits are popular and they are a victim of their popularity. They are not particularly well suited to crimes. In fact, I've had some police departments be kind enough to let me look through their crime guns, and of the, like, untraceable ghost guns that they report, like, most of them are just cheap heaters with the serial number ground off.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really pisses me off, is they don't distinguish between, like,
intentionally
ground off serial numbers.
Intentionally
usually,
don't distinguish.
Right? Yeah.
Intentionally, usually like the Jennings or the High Points or the Skies.
Right.
I went to the hardware store today and I got a buy build shoot kit.
Yeah, I mean,
what kind of pipes did you get?
Well, it fires a 12 gauge, so black iron.
Black iron, good. You got a good nail,
black iron,
good sturdy one.
Roofing nail, crazy glue.
It's way harder than people give credit for, by the way. Like a pipe shotgun is actually somewhat infuriating to make, but it's doable.
Yeah, it's a slam fire. You take it.
But all right, so you're saying what was the result of the whole buy build shoot? Did Polymer 80 get raided? Kits were seized? What happened?
It was a similar thing to what we're watching unfold now. What they did is they did raid the place. They declined to pursue criminal charges because they already know that they're pushing up the edge of what's acceptable and what they can lawfully do. But they did, and the thing a lot of people forget about is the credit card data.
Yeah. They basically, what happened was, Authorized.net gave over the names of everyone that bought from Polymer 80, and also Stamps.com gave over information, and they didn't even ask for a warrant. They just handed it over.
Right, as they will always do, by the way. They will always do that, because like the credit card processors are, they're just lobster clawed accountants. Like, right, they don't care. The government's like, can I have it? And they, like, before they even finish the sentence, they're like, yep.
There is a credit card processor, 2A Commerce, that processes credit cards.
Well, yeah, and it's exciting to see. And then there's also the collective, right, that owns PSA is going into banking. That's exciting. But
wow.
But the majority, what?
Yeah, right. But the fascinating thing there is that then and not just the ATF, but the local cops work together from this list to cross-reference it with state databases of felons and prohibited people. And so they went and started knocking, like, to my understanding, the only ones they chased down were ones that were cross-referenced with prohibited people.
There's 9.
Many of them didn't assemble them.
There's 9 people that they actually chased down.
Right, and they they were prohibited, right?
Yeah.
And I think almost all of these people didn't even assemble the gun. They were like, hey, I got this so that if maybe one day I can, have one again, I could have one, or just in case like something horrible to happen, like, I wouldn't be completely without a defense. And it's like, and they're trying to prosecute these people. Yeah. Because they're trying to make the argument that the kit itself is the firearm.
Yeah. Out of the 9 people, 7 of them did not assemble them.
Right.
So 2.
Was anybody prosecuted and convicted, or was it just like,
Well, Polymer 80, no, they just never came back. They declined to prosecute.
So I don't think Polymer 80 was like no charges inside Polymer 80.
No charges inside Polymer 80. There was no cease and desist of Polymer 80 either.
Right.
Did ATF keep a bunch of boxes of Polymer 80s? What happened? Or were they returned?
Yeah, they went there. They did that. Then no, they didn't return them. And they also went to Brownells and wanted Brownells to give over all their buy build shoot kits. And Brownells was like, you don't sell buy build shoot kits. What the hell are you guys doing here? Don't you check the website first? So they left Brownells. And then
let's go a week, a month after this. So it's okay if I went to Polymer 80's online store and it wasn't one SKU, but 2 or 3 SKUs. I got a slide, I got an upper parts kit, lower parts kit, and a frame. And in the same order, it shipped to me. That was okay.
Well, no one knows for sure.
Right. Well, so that's the thing. Yeah. So like, that's the.
Or let's just say nobody's been busted for that. Let's just.
Well, until now.
Until last week.
Yeah, until last week.
Now they're talking about structuring, which is crazy.
Christ alive. And in order to have a structuring charge, in order to like pull these.
So are you telling me that when I get paid by my by my employer, they're structuring? My employer is guilty of structuring?
Well, here's the thing. Structuring usually applies to banks in and out money to get under the 10,000. And that is illegal for you or I to do. There is no structuring law for us buying firearms parts.
Yeah.
And usually the banks don't get charged with structuring. So how are they taking this bank charge and putting it on JSD supply? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
So it would make more sense if people are following along at home.
Okay, I'm getting
structuring is when I want to take 10 grand out of the bank, but I don't want it reported to the feds because 10 grand or greater is reported to the feds. So I take 5 grand out Monday, 5 grand out Tuesday, and then I'm guilty of structuring. And so the way the ATF is saying this applies is, well, I bought a grip on Monday, and then I got paid on Friday, and then I bought the rest of the parts completed. Therefore, I was trying to hide buying a firearm.
But the thing is, they're talking about JSD structuring.
Right. Well, which I'm saying that's kind of how it would be applied if it was parallel to banking in firearms. But what they're saying is because JSD is selling, that's like the banks giving the money, which there's no law against the banks giving you the money, the penalty falls upon the person.
It's
structuring.
There you go. We got a question here, Rich. Go ahead and read it because it has a word in there I cannot pronounce ever.
Pistol braces, bump stocks, fast trigger suppressors, 12 gauge firearms, all these are precedent to defeat the NFA. What is lacking to make that attack in 2022? Does the other side know this?
So what is lacking is a meaningful standard for analyzing Second Amendment cases. And I mean, I know there's an obvious one, right? And people always talk about, strict scrutiny, rational bread stricts or intermediate stromboli, whatever. But that's all BS. You have to remember that those levels of tiered scrutiny were created to enable the government to violate your rights. The standard used to be, have they violated your rights? Oh, okay, they're not allowed. Right now, even at the top standard, it's, oh, well, but do you really need to do it like really bad? So we don't even know on a national level where that standard needs to be. And so it's very hard to bring these more interesting challenges without the Supreme Court nutting up and announcing the standard for Second Amendment cases.
I see a couple of people asking out there about Brownells and if we think that they went to Brownells to intimidate them not to sell buy build shoot kits. I think that they are just idiots. And
I think they went there trying to get a kiss from Roy.
Yeah, I just don't think they knew what they were selling.
Well, you know what? I bet. You know what I reckon? That they looked through the sales records and saw that, they're buying frames and slides and springs, right? Because they sell the whole package on Brownells. And so they're like, that's the thing.
So, I mean, if you're a lawyer, and you are
disgusting,
you would say like,
hey, you're a lawyer.
Right. But Polymer 80 got busted because they threw all the crap in one box and sent it out. Now, Brownells is selling all the same parts, but they didn't have a buy, build, shoot SKU, so they didn't get busted.
So here's the the theory that ATF had when it came to the Bible shoot kit was that if you read the definition of firearm, right, in a broader context, it didn't necessitate, like you didn't have the questions of completed or not. It was designed or maybe readily restored, or no, not restored. That's from the NFA. Converted. And what that language is from, and it's very well known why that language was put there. That language was put into the law because there were Italian companies that would take 25 ACP guns and put a little bit of lead in the barrel and just moosh it in, and then they just sell it as a blank gun, and people would get them here and go bloop and kick it out, and it was just a gun. So that was like, so that's what that was for.
It didn't in 1968 say 8 hours at a CNC machine shop?
Right, partially because the C in CNC wasn't really developed at that point.
So it couldn't have just said wood dowel on 25 APC and Italian gun that you.
Yeah, and again, legal lizards wrote it. So, but that's what it was for. It's in the congressional record. Like, that's what that language is for. It's for a gun that was fully formed. It was a weapon at one point, and that's what the important part. And they ignore that. They ignore that part of the law where
so
it says weapon.
Thank you.
Right, because if it's not done, if the holes have never been drilled and you can't put it together, how is it a weapon?
Because I went to Cornell Law and I'm reading this. And I'm like, oh my God, this crap's been illegal forever.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a question.
It's funny how the law reads different at Cornell.
Here's a question for you. Why do you think that
Hi, David.
the new rule is so contradictory? Like, there are certain parts where it says one thing, then you read another thing that says totally different. Not the new law, the new rule, I should say.
Well, and then, like, do you remember the earlier draft where they said that the AR-70 lower was going to be the firearm, as it always had been? But it's like, wait, hold on. The AR-70 upper has always been the firearm. What are you doing? And like, where they like, and then they just changed their mind in the final draft. Like, what the hell does that mean?
It's almost like there's like 20 people writing it, and none of them compared notes, and they just threw it all together.
Yeah.
All right. So my conspiracy theories on this, I have two conspiracy theories that work together.
Oh, good.
One is, who was the former acting chief of the ATF?
Regina Lombardo.
Marvin Richardson or Regina Lombardo? Yeah. Which one?
I believe Richardson wasn't a jerk and intentionally sabotaged this rule because he made it in 120 days. He intentionally had 5 different people write it and just copied and pasted their text together, so it was completely contradictory and it would not stand up in the court of law, and that's why Biden got rid of him.
No, I think it was that the ATF was rushed on the roll. The White House wanted it done, and it wasn't ready to be released, but they had to release it anyway.
It was probably told, you need to make sure that you get these products. And so it's like, well, these are all very different. How do we encompass them? It's like, I don't know. Figure it out. Just shit it up.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. And if you want to talk about the GCA, everybody knows that the GCA is one of the most racist laws on the books, period.
Yeah, it is. It was actually put there for racist reasons.
It was very clear, and it was Mr. Reagan that was pushing it.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was like,
the Mumford Act, too.
What? Yeah.
The Mumford Act, too, in California.
Hold on. These black people are policing their own neighborhoods and keeping themselves safe.
Can't have that.
No. Whoa. You're going to have to go buy your guns at a gun store. And the people who own the gun stores, they can deny you the gun if you don't have good moral character. That's what the GCA was all about. It was about creating this network so that undesirables, as they were considered at the time, couldn't acquire a gun in most of the country, and so that poor people couldn't have them because it prohibited the importation of the most popular pocket pistols. And you know what? One of the main results, yes, it is a corgi. Her name is Rose. One of the main results of the GCA was a dramatic increase in lethality in shooting combat. Because before the GCA, well, it's just like Prohibition. What's the most popular alcohol right now?
Beer.
Vodka?
Beer and wine.
Oh.
What do you think the most popular alcohol was before Prohibition happened? Beer and wine. During Prohibition?
Hard liquor.
Vodka?
Bathtub gin.
Yep.
So the GCA comes through. Before the GCA, the most popular handgun was the cheapest one you could get, an Italian 25 auto self-loader. After the GCA, we're up to a 380. Congratulations, because that's the cheapest gun that can come in. So the lethality of gunfights went up. Less people survive gunfights thanks to the Saturday Night Special ban of the GCA.
Yeah, it's crazy. They wanted to make more. It was not so much for the people who had money; it was for the people who didn't have money, which is kind of crazy because those are usually the people that live in the high crime areas that need it the most.
Well, they didn't think like that back then, It was like, and it's so funny, right? Because you're like, oh, we got to get these organized criminals and all this stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, those illustrious organized criminals who have been winning the war on drugs for years and making lots of money. What do they have? Oh, money. But the guy at the steel mill, what does he have? Well, he can't have his 25 auto pistol anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's really, really ridiculous. I remember back in the late 90s when concealed carry started expanding, and they were talking about how the streets were going to run red with blood and everything else.
It's like you were legalizing murder or something. It's ridiculous.
You mean it's not legal?
Look, I mean, wait, what state do you live in?
Florida.
Oh, me too. Yeah, no, it's totally legal here. We all do it.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
we
just the state's shaped like a gun. Every day at 3:00, we all go out and just we point, and then you lock eyes and you just start shooting, and everyone claps.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I've been doing it right.
Yeah, I don't want to live in a state not like that.
Ting ting, yes, uppers. Yes, you can still buy it after the new rule goes into effect.
Yes, it does nothing to change the existing classifications unless ATF later decides that it wants to.
Yeah, it actually says that a gun only has to be serialized in one place, but the Safety Harbor 50 that has to be serialized in two places. So what the hell? What's the deal with that?
It did rescind. Remember, it did rescind all previous rules.
Yes.
So it might be that maybe possibly he doesn't have to. I'm not going to hold my breath, but that guidance is gone now, because that's how you
need to talk to Walter at Safety Harbor.
Well, I have, but that's how you clarify the law, right? You delete 60 years of clarifications that you've been doing. It's obvious.
G-Web wants to know where the stat from the increase of lethality come from so we can cite it later.
So it was I used to there's a site I had when I used to write for Cato. I would cite it all the time. It was there was a medical journal before the GCA, which was lethality and penetrating wounds of gunshot victims, and after the GCA you'd see fewer 25 auto and rimfire holes in people and more centerfire holes in people, because after the GCA, the guns that were importable were more powerful. And, just like today, America is not very good at making guns. Sorry, guys. We don't have an incredible comparative advantage of it. So our guns are not the cheapest. The cheapest guns are going to be some of the most powerful, most popular. The cheapest guns are going to be some of the most popular, and thus they're going to show up increasingly often at everywhere. It's just like a very common car among criminals is the Toyota Camry, because it's a very common car. So that's how all this stuff works.
What is the saying for that? It's like correlation is not causation.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's generally cost.
I got to get a Camry though.
First,
you have a Camry?
No, I got to run out and buy one.
Oh yeah. I've got a real criminal vehicle, a 95 Silverado. It's a.
All right, I want to say hi to Corn Pop out there.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
I wanted to say Corn Pop I only have two
So
sounds for like viewers, and him's one, and he is one. We have another question. Swamp Dog wants to know what you think about the ATF cracking down on FFL errors, like the revocation of FFLs are up 500%. That's not an exaggeration. They're up 500%.
Well, it's clear to me this is just a sideways assault on the availability of firearms, right? Like when you find, it's very rare, and and I've looked through and I've read about license revocation cases, and it's very rare that you actually find a gun dealer that is intentionally non-reporting, intentionally making transfers without the 4473. It is most often that you find somebody who didn't double check that it was today's date, right? And that is a point against you, and that is a right. It's the same point as if you didn't have them sign the form at all, right? Some like minor clerical errors. This is what comes up on these, and ATF is now threatening businesses. And I have a client whose business is being threatened, and they're threatening non-renewal of his license because there's a part-timer that got a little sloppy on the forums, still ran the background check, still did everything right, just got a little sloppy. Why?
Yeah, look, they took away JA Industries guns because they show up on crime scenes a lot. They were like Jennings that became JA.
It's almost as if he lived in a high crime area.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And yeah, they're like, oh, we need to crack down on the dealers that the crime guns come from. You know where it's funny.
Rogue dealers.
Yeah, these rogue dealers. Do you think they're usually very big or very small gun shops?
I don't know.
They're like the big fives and like the wholesaler clubs. Because guess what? They sell a lot of guns.
So you're saying they sell a lot of guns, they make mistakes. It's
well, not even. People come in because look, at the end of the day, if the gun winds up on a crime scene, it's most likely it was a straw purchase. Okay. It's already illegal, and it's not just
stolen.
Illegal. What?
Or stolen.
And so it's just as likely that a straw purchase gun would be bought at the biggest gun store in town as a gun would be stolen if it was bought from the biggest gun store in town. It's not fair.
Okay.
It's not fair.
No, it's definitely not fair.
And they talk about cracking down on straw purchases. How the heck are you supposed to know? Sure, there are some times when right? Like, I don't know if you guys have ever worked behind a gun counter.
I used to own gun shops.
Okay, well, so yeah, so you've been like get out before. But a lot of times you don't know, right? And what are you supposed to do? Just start like questioning every single customer you've got? It's like, why do you want a 226?
Yeah, I remember one time when I had my gun store, the ATF said, if someone pays in cash, that may be suspicious.
Like, what? I just don't want my wife to know.
Yeah, that's what I assume.
Like, yeah, that's usually what it was.
And they'll actually like say that.
Yeah. I mean, that's usually what it was.
That's ridiculous.
But in my case, that's when my wife was sitting in the car with the dog, and I was at Costco, and I bought pizza, and I didn't want my wife to know. Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Chelsea's scared of lightning and rain, so she's flipping out. That's why I have her.
Yeah, for all those that are wondering that are listening, Flying Rich is holding a dog, and Matt from Fudd Busters was holding a dog as well recently.
John has a dog, but it fires 20 millimeter rounds, and it's robotic.
Yeah.
So it's not a lap dog.
All right, we got a super chat. Thank you for all you do. Hey, Crump, what beer happened to the Hunter laptop there? Oh, what happened? Where you were going to share? Yeah, I'm still. I mean, I've shared it to several people. There's 500 gigs of data, and I've been going through trying to Rich, we can't hear you, but they're trying to like redact all like social security numbers and everything else. It's that takes a lot of time, man. Dark was supposed to be helping me, but you gotta ask him what happened to it. So I kind of handed the project over to Dark, and I'm not sure where he is with it.
He's busy making memes with it. That's what he's doing.
Oh, probably.
So I want to circle back to the 1968 GCA. So the GCA doesn't say, hey, you can push with a dowel the lead plug out and make it an operable gun. But in the congressional record, there's like, it was a gun. They disabled it by jamming a piece of lead in it. And then you can convert it by pushing the lead ball out.
Right. Or like, there were other ones where like they just like put a little weld, like a little, bzz, and this was, they perceived this as a problem enough to address it. And it was, that's why the operative word there is weapon. Because it was a weapon at one point, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I also want to say hi to someone else out there because I got a soundbite just for him too.
I'm a cop, you idiot. I'm Detective John Kimball.
All right, Kimball's out there.
So my next question, you're familiar with CRS firearms, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So
I take confidence very seriously. There's very little I take in life seriously, and so I have to.
I'm not asking anything.
Okay.
So
that's my client. I love him very much.
Yeah, I mean, Matt's a friend of all of ours.
Yeah.
So I can't have a metal card with an etching on it, but I bought this for a AUG parts kit that has 3-round burst and full auto capability.
Right.
Somehow this isn't a machine gun, but a piece of metal with an etching on it is a machine gun?
Well, so that's a fascinating thing there too, and that's more NFA than GCA. So under NFA, the receiver of the firearm is what is or is not a machine gun. And with the semi-automatic Steyr AUGs, if you there's the modification done to the fire control cassette where the original fully automatic cassettes won't go in to the AUG receiver. There's this interface. It's very easily defeatable because it's all plastic, but it's there, right? At least theoretically, the thing you have in your hand will not interface with a Steyr AUG receiver that's semi-automatic.
Okay.
Right.
The law then.
Sorry.
The law then also says, or a device that is designed solely and exclusively to convert a semi-automatic weapon into an automatic one. That's where you get this thing. But I mean, of course, in the case of the key card, they're making this batshit like assertion that like some lines on metal, which may or may not even be the right size, and also 792, cool gun number. That's how real men measure 8mm. May or may not even be the right size, is a device solely and exclusively for converting something to a machine gun. What a bunch of crap. And again, like I was saying, we talk about this, we talk about how ridiculous it is, but it's important to remember the reality that they pointed guns at a dude over this. They ripped him from his family and are making him travel across the country, gagged him, choked his business out, snatching food out of the mouths of his 2 young children. That's evil. And yet, because it's guns, it's not all over the news.
Right.
And and also that man, by the way, what was he accused of doing?
Conspiracy.
Talking about the drawings.
He did the ultimate conspiracy. He got married.
Oh yeah, when they try to say, "Oh, that's why he got married," it's like, what the hell, man?
I was there
what
when
the
they told
hell?
that, and I was like, I had a word with with the government about that. I was very inappropriate. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Your Thompson looking gun. What was it again?
It's a Spitfire. Spitfire semi-auto carbine. I call it the shit fire.
All right, there you go, Corn Pop. Corn Pop was wondering about it. And Corn Pop gave 792, which is an awesome round. And says more puppies.
More puppies.
And that's Chelsea. I think he asked what the name of the dog.
Yeah, most people don't know what a 792 is.
Yeah. 792 by 57.
By 57? Really? Wow.
Yeah, that's it, right? 792 by 57.
Yeah.
Nope. That's 8mm Mauser.
Okay. I didn't know there was something bigger than the most Nagant ammo.
Well, there's much bigger than that.
Well,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, Nugget ammo is fun. I don't know. I like all the old center fire European cartridges. I shoot a lot of 8 Lebel. I shoot 7.5 French, 7.5 Swiss, all them. They're so fun. Like everyone's like, oh, 308, that's awesome. And I'm like, oh, wait, 6.5 Jap? Let me see that.
Yeah. Very hard to come by.
You can make it.
Yeah, you got to go to like a specialty shop or make it yourself.
You can make the 6.5 Jap. I think you can make it from 303 brass, and 7.7 Jap you can make from 30-06. Which I've done.
Use that 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
We had a question from Swamp Dog Armory. What is your thoughts on the 22 TCM?
I like it a lot.
So do I.
I'm frustrated about the existence of 22 TCM 9R. To me, it's like, why didn't you just start with that?
I have a 1911 that fires.
Yeah, but you know the 9R, right?
Yeah, I had that's what it fires. 22 TCM 9R.
Yeah, no, that's what they should have just done. They should have just been like, let's make it so it feeds from a Glock mag, and then that's it. It's done. But like 22 TCM, I shot one for the first time at SHOT Show, and I was like, it was one of them Rock Island little Philippine Shack 1911s, and I was like,
well, that's what I have.
But this one was like bad, right? It was like clapped out, it was shaky, and I was like, this is gonna suck. This is gonna be terrible. And because it was the only one they had brought that was 22 TCM, I specifically was like, I want to shoot 22 TCM, and they're like, hold on, and they get it out of a box for me. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. And then it no recoil, no movement, just flash, and then ping on target. And I was like, whoa. And it was like cheating, right? It's just like tink, 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 tink. It's a total riot.
Dude, it's fun.
Yeah, it's way better than 5.7. Like, that's for sure.
It reminds me of 5.7 though.
It does feel a little bit like it, but it feels like it has a little bit more slap on steel. Because when I shoot steel with a 5.7, I can't even hear it. And it's probably because the 22 TCM soft point.
Yeah, I mean, I love the 22 TCM 9R.
Yeah, I've never shot the 9R. I've only ever shot the original.
You got to try the 9R.
We gotta get more firearms in that cartridge. I think I want a PCC and 22 TCM. That's what I want.
That would be nice.
Yeah, and they also just look so stupid.
Yeah, it's like especially in 9R, you have like this big thing, and hold on, I'll get one really quick.
Yeah, it's like it
looks what do you mean?
Huh?
He's getting the ammo, I hope.
Oh yeah, he
knows better.
It looks like a what a cartoon cartridge.
Oh yes, it does. It does. Yeah, Swamp Dog is a big fan of that.
I don't have a gun in it. Swamp Dog, why don't you tell me if I'm going to get one and only one 22 TCM gun, what should I get?
All right, here it is.
Yeah, look at a little toad.
You got to go full screen, John.
Yeah.
All right, let me go full screen so I can show you everyone what it looks like.
Look at that Douglas.
This is it.
Oh my gosh.
Look at the little Doug. You're so funny.
Yeah, dude. I love it. I love that round. It's a fun round.
Yeah, no, I want to have because AK-74 is always my primary, but I feel like if I had like AK-74 primary and 22 TCM secondary, that would be like the two needlers, like fucking tiny little holes and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Swamp Dog, if I'm gonna get just one 22 TCM firearm, what should it be? Is he still
Swamp
thinking?
Dogs love a 22 TCM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, this flew by.
Yep.
Wow. All right, I want to wrap up. I'm gonna give you the final word, Matt. But if you want to follow me, actually, hold on. I think we got a super chat coming in. Matt, thank you for your recent letter to the Senate Judiciary Committee on Brandon's ATF pick. As you eloquently, whatever that word can say the things most of us are thinking. You killed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott. That's really humbling. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm glad you guys didn't have to watch me like with this vein coming out of my forehead as I was deleting all the swear words from that. As I, through the drafting process.
All right, guys. We're gonna get out of here. I want to thank everyone for watching. You can find me at John Crump News. John Crump News is my main YouTube channel. This is my passion, though. Live streams. I love live streaming. But you can also support me at johncrump.locals.com, and that goes into all my journalism, all research, and everything else like that. Remember, support JSD Supply. You can follow me at Real John Crump at Instagram and Crumpy SS on Twitter. You can follow Rich everywhere at Flying Rich on YouTube, everywhere else besides Instagram, where he is flyingrich_officials. Go to his locals at flyingrich.locals.com and remember to follow him on MySpace. And yes, Matt, he actually does have he still has a MySpace. He still uses it.
Cool.
It's like the only
Someday
one
I'll
left on
find
there.
the login.
He's like, can't get canceled from there because
nobody else.
They went out to
there.
lunch. The admins are asleep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna kick it over to Matt. Matt, tell everyone where they can find you and leave us with words of wisdom.
You can find me at my house most of the time. I like to stay here. I really like this part of the house. I have a YouTube. It's called Fudd Busters. FUDD Busters.
Great
I'm
channel.
on the Twitter on that. I got Twitter. I got tweets. I got Matt Law at Law. And you could go to my web zone. I got pizza rolls on there. Thanks for coming. Okay.